Yesterday, December the 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with that nation, and at the solicitation of Japan, was still in conversation with its government and its emperor, looking toward the maintenance of peace in the Pacific.
Under God's grace, America stands because of the men and women who serve and sacrifice to protect her. The sounds of enemy planes are still etched over the crisp blue skies of Pearl Harbor, in contrast to the sacred silence above the Arizona, where multitudes continue to honor the lives of those fallen on that day. As President Roosevelt prayed with the nation, we pray today, asking God to lead us to the saving of our country and with our sister nations into a world unity that will spell a sure peace.
Those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment.
You know, as we heard from the message of President Roosevelt, as that was replayed for us, you couldn't help but imagine that moment, the terror that struck in the hearts of people, wondering that our values being under attack and what would be the next moves. But as was calculated by the President in that given comment, in those comments, it was that confidence in our armed forces and the unbounding determination of the American people that would ultimately produce victory and triumph, not only for the United States, but for the world.
It's critical that we continue to have this ceremony, to remember not only those lives that were lost, but all the battles that have been fought for the freedoms that we enjoy today.
The impact of World War II is still affecting our international relations today. Not just the Middle East, but elsewhere. So it is so important that we come together so that not only that we can honor those who have served so extraordinarily selflessly, but that we also show our respect and appreciation.
0800 hours on December 7th, there was a moment of clarity. This country had to respond and knew what it needed to do to respond to this attack, and also knew the sacrifices that it would take. And today, it's rare for us to have those moments of clarity. It seems as though we're bombarded on all sides with all kinds of things happening, some of the things that BJ talked about, as well as, what happens in the cyber world. And so I think it's important for us to maybe center ourselves in this moment and think about that moment of clarity and think about how we can discuss amongst ourselves and talk as a civic society about what it is that we are called to do when our country's values are on the line, when our country's freedoms are on the line. And how can we come together, not in partisan ways, not pointing fingers, but how can we come together?
We all know that Pearl Harbor was a defining moment for Americans, but it was such a defining moment for the entire world. And it's just unbelievable when you hear the stories, when you read the history, how our men and women, how they stood tall and fought back, and just the bravery, the courage that was displayed, just the respect for their country, wanting to protect us. Some of these things are lost today in everything that goes on. We live such fast lives.
It's things that happened that remind us to take a step back and really think about what's important and what we can do, what we can contribute. Collectively, we can do so much.
We will never forget what happened 77 years ago. Over 2,300 killed. There's no greater pleasure and honor than to serve in the military. I grew up in a Navy family. So when I joined the Navy, let me tell you, there was rejoicing in the family. Because I grew up in a Navy family, I understood the significance of Pearl Harbor Day. When I got in the Navy, it reinforced it. 5 years later, I joined the Army, which was not such a great day in the Secor household, but they were still proud that I was still serving in the military. During my time in the Army, I was at ground zero. That reinforced to me what it was that those Pearl Harbor survivors had gone through.